You trust the deli counter. You grab the same brand every week. But that familiar package is hiding sodium that could spike your blood pressure overnight, chemicals linked to cancer, and bacteria that sent Canadians to the hospital. One brand on this list caused the deadliest food safety disaster in Canadian history. Two brands passed every test. Stay with me. Coming in at number 9, we have Budig. Budig sells itself on affordability. Thin sliced, cheap, easy to grab. But flip that package over, and you will see what you are actually paying for. In just a 2-ounce serving of their pastrami, you are swallowing 600 milligrams of sodium. That is 25% of the recommended daily limit for an adult. For someone on blood pressure medication, that is not a sandwich. That is a setback. And the ingredient list reads like a chemistry exam. Mechanically separated chicken, sodium nitrite, sodium phosphates. Mechanically separated means the meat was pressure blasted off the bone by a machine. What comes out is a paste, not a cut. You would never recognize it as meat if you saw it before processing. It is gray, it is wet, and it is formed into something that looks like turkey or ham, but it is not. Picture opening that thin plastic pouch. The smell hits you immediately. It is not the smell of roasted meat. It is a faint chemical tang mixed with something vaguely metallic. That is the preservatives. That is the phosphates. That is what you are tasting when you think you are tasting deli meat. The sodium phosphates in Budig products are especially dangerous for anyone with kidney issues. Your kidneys are responsible for filtering excess phosphorus. And when they are already weakened, dumping that much phosphate into your system puts them under serious strain. Doctors have flagged sodium phosphates as a risk factor for cardiovascular events in people with chronic kidney disease. For seniors already taking blood pressure medication, adding 600 milligrams of sodium per serving on top of their daily intake is like pouring gasoline on a fire your doctor is trying to put out. And the worst part is that 2 ounces is barely enough to cover a single sandwich. Most people use 3 or 4 times that amount without even thinking about it. The label says deli meat. Your body says otherwise. At number 8, we have Oscar Mayer. Oscar Mayer might be the most nostalgic deli brand in North America. That jingle, that Wienermobile. But nostalgia does not make food safe. Their lean honey ham clocks in at a staggering 810 milligrams of sodium per serving. That is more than a third of your daily limit in a few thin slices. The word lean on that label is doing a lot of heavy lifting, and none of it is honest. Their products are loaded with sodium nitrite, sodium phosphates, and carrageenan. Carrageenan is a thickener pulled from seaweed that has been linked to bloating, gut inflammation, and irritable bowel symptoms. It has no nutritional value. It exists to make cheap meat feel thicker in your mouth. Peel back a slice and hold it up to the light. It has a strange uniformity to it, a rubbery sheen. That is not how real ham looks. Real ham tears unevenly. Real ham has grain. This is engineered smoothness, and carrageenan is part of the reason why. Then there is their beef cotto salami. The first ingredient is mechanically separated chicken. The second is beef hearts. Not beef, beef hearts. That is what you are putting on your sandwich. Some reviewers online have described the texture as plastic, injected into salami. If you have ever bitten into it and felt something was off, that is why. Your mouth was telling you what the ingredient list confirms. Oscar Mayer also had a major recall of their ham and cheese meat loaf due to cross-contamination after the product was sliced on unsanitary equipment that had been used on uncooked food. And yet, the product is still on shelves. The recall happened, the headlines faded, and the brand went right back to business as usual. Why do you think the CFIA lets brands use ingredients that would make most people lose their appetite if they actually saw them being made? But this is nothing compared to what is coming at number 3. Now at number 7, we have Schneider's Country Naturals. Here is where the betrayal of trust gets personal. Schneider's is a name that has been in Canadian kitchens since 1890. It is a heritage brand. People trust it the way they trust a family recipe. So when Schneider's launched their Country Naturals line, Canadians believed they were getting something cleaner. The packaging says, made with natural ingredients and no artificial additives or preservatives. Sounds safe. Sounds honest. Except it is not. A Globe and Mail investigation revealed that Schneider's Country Naturals products contain cultured celery extract, which is a concentrated source of nitrites. Biochemically, It is identical to the sodium nitrite found in conventional deli meats. The same compound, the same cancer risk, the same interaction with proteins that creates nitrosamines. But because the nitrite comes from celery instead of a lab, the label gets to say natural and no artificial preservatives. One consumer, a pregnant woman, wrote on the Schneider's Facebook page, "I feel cheated." The Canadian Food Inspection Agency still allows this labeling. The word natural is not legally defined in Canada. Any company can use it, and they do. Walk into any grocery store right now, and you will see the word natural on dozens of packages. It means nothing. It is a marketing word dressed up as a safety promise. You think you are making a safer choice for your family. You are not. You are paying more money for the exact same risk wrapped in a friendlier label, and the premium price makes it hurt even more. You paid extra because you thought you were buying safety. You bought a story instead. There is a way to protect yourself from every brand on this list. A simple method most people have never heard of. We will break it down at the very end of the video. Do not go anywhere. Number 6 is Land O'Frost. Land O'Frost is one of the biggest packaged deli meat companies out there, and their products are everywhere in Canadian grocery stores. Their Black Forest ham packs over 500 milligrams of sodium per serving. That is nearly a quarter of your daily limit. For someone managing hypertension, eating a sandwich with 4 slices could push sodium intake past 1,000 milligrams in one sitting. One sandwich, one meal, half a day's worth of sodium gone before lunch is over. And most people do not stop at one sandwich a day. Add a second serving at dinner, and you are already past the limit before you even count anything else you ate. Their ingredient lists include sodium erythorbate, sodium phosphates, sodium nitrite, and in some products, corn syrup solids. Corn syrup in ham. Think about that. You are buying what you believe is meat, and they are. Sweetening it with processed sugar. For people managing type 2 diabetes, that is a hidden trap sitting right inside their sandwich. Your doctor tells you to watch your sugar. You skip the cookies, you avoid the soda, and then you eat ham that has corn syrup in it because nobody told you to check. Nobody warned you that your deli meat could spike your blood sugar the same way a candy bar does. And their Canadian bacon product, which is marketed as having no byproducts and natural juices, still contains every single one of those chemical preservatives. The front of the package tells one story. The back tells a very different one. Open that package and press a slice between your fingers. It is slippery, unnaturally moist. That moisture is not from the meat. It is from the phosphate solution they injected into it to increase the weight. You are paying for water and chemicals by the gram. Does it not feel like grocery stores care more about what is printed on the front label than what is actually inside the food? There are 2 brands that got this right. 2 that passed every test. We will get to them, but not yet. At number 5, we have Maple Leaf Natural Selections. This is one of the biggest deli brands in Canada. Maple Leaf Natural Selections runs commercials showing happy families, clean kitchens, and the promise of no artificial preservatives and ingredients you can pronounce. They even used a child actor named Dylan Carter in one of their ads. His parents would not let him eat hot dogs because of preservatives, so Maple Leaf made one just for him. Heartwarming, reassuring, and deeply misleading. But the products still contain cultured celery extract. That is a nitrite. It behaves identically to sodium nitrite inside your body. It reacts with the proteins in meat to form nitrosamines. The World Health Organization classified processed meat as a Group 1 carcinogen in 2015. That is the same category as tobacco and asbestos. Not the same level of risk, but the same level of certainty from the world's top scientists. And a study published by the Canadian Cancer Society found that cancer risk increases with each 1.8 ounces of processed meat consumed per day. That is roughly 2 to 4 slices of deli meat. 2 to 4 slices. That is not a feast. That is a regular sandwich. That is a Tuesday lunch. Think about how many sandwiches you have made in the last year. How many school lunches? How many quick dinners when nobody felt like cooking? Each one added a small dose of nitrosamines to your system, and the packaging told you it was safe the entire time. The smiling family on the front of the box was there to make sure you never flipped it over and looked at the back. Maple Leaf Natural Selections promises you health. The science says the opposite, and the CFIA has still not required companies to disclose celery-derived nitrites as what they are: chemical preservatives. If this helps you stay safer at the store, hit subscribe. It is free, and it means you will never miss these exposés. Coming in at number 4, it is Schneider's Bologna. If Country Naturals was the trust betrayal, Schneider's Bologna is the ingredient nightmare. Bologna is made by grinding meat trimmings into a fine paste and then cooking the result. What goes into that paste matters, and in this case, it includes sodium phosphates, sodium erythorbate, sodium nitrite, corn syrup, and modified cornstarch. 5 chemical additives in a product most Canadians grew up eating without a second thought. Your parents packed it in your lunchbox. Your grandparents fried it in a pan for Saturday breakfast. Nobody ever questioned what was in it because it had always been there. Sodium phosphates are especially concerning for anyone over 50 with declining kidney function. Your kidneys filter phosphorus out of your blood. When they are weakened by age, medication, or chronic conditions, excess phosphates build up and can calcify your blood vessels. That is not a theoretical risk. That is a documented mechanism for cardiovascular disease. Cardiologists have published studies showing that elevated phosphate levels in the blood are directly associated with increased mortality in patients over 60. And yet, this compound is in one of the most common sandwich meats in the country. It is in school cafeterias. It is in nursing homes. It is in your kitchen right now. Consumer Reports tested 124 packaged deli meats and found that on average, deli meat contains 8 to 11 times more sodium than a comparable cut of fresh meat. 8 to 11 times. That number should stop you in your tracks. You could roast a turkey breast at home and get a fraction of the sodium that comes in a single package of Schneider's Bologna. Take a slice out of the package right now. Smell it. There is a faint sweetness under the salt. That is the corn syrup. The texture might be smooth. The taste might be familiar. But what is happening inside your body after years of eating this is anything but smooth. Most people never learn how to spot the difference between truly clean deli meat and one that just looks clean on the label. But you will. The answer is coming at the very end. Stick around. What is the worst thing you have ever found on a deli meat ingredient list? Drop it in the comments. Now we are at number 3, and this is No Name, Loblaw's store brand. No Name is Canada's most recognizable store brand. That bright yellow packaging is in every Loblaws, No Frills, and real Canadian superstore across the country. And millions of Canadians on fixed incomes reach for it because the price is right. You see it in the deli cooler. You see it in the packaged meat aisle. You see it in your neighbor's grocery cart. It is everywhere. And that is exactly the problem. But the price of no-name deli meat is not just what you pay at the register. Many of their sliced deli products contain sodium nitrite, sodium phosphates, modified cornstarch, and levels of sodium that rival or exceed name brands. You are not saving money on quality ingredients. You are saving money on cheaper cuts, more fillers, and the same preservatives that make every brand on this list dangerous. The yellow label feels honest. It feels no nonsense. But that simplicity is a disguise. There is nothing simple about the chemistry inside these packages. Open a package of their sliced turkey. Press a piece between your fingers. That slimy film on the surface is not natural moisture. That is the phosphate brine leaching out of the meat. Smell it. There is a faint chemical sharpness beneath the salt. That is the preservative cocktail doing its work. This is not what turkey is supposed to feel like. This is not what turkey is supposed to smell like. For seniors on fixed incomes, this is the cruelest trick. You cannot afford the premium brands, so you buy the budget option, trusting that the basic product is at least safe. But the sodium levels are still pushing your blood pressure up. The nitrites are still forming nitrosamines. The phosphates are still taxing your kidneys. The affordable option is not the safe option. It is just the quiet one. Nobody runs ads for no-name deli meat. Nobody puts a child actor on the commercial, and that silence makes it feel trustworthy, even when the ingredient list tells a very different story. Loblaws made over $60 billion in revenue in 2023. They can afford to put clean meat in that yellow package. They choose not to. And wait until you hear what number 1 did. That one changes everything. At number 2, we have Mastro. Mastro positions itself as an artisan Italian deli brand. The packaging is elegant. The names sound imported. Genoa salami, sopressata, capocollo. You picture a small shop in Italy, meat hanging from the ceiling, a a family recipe passed down through generations. The font on the label looks hand-lettered. The colors are deep burgundy and gold. Everything about this brand whispers authenticity. It whispers tradition. It whispers care. And that whisper is a lie. But Mastro products are loaded with sodium. Their dry-cured salami products can deliver close to 1,000 milligrams of sodium per 56-gram serving. That is a small handful of slices. For someone on heart medication or managing congestive heart failure, that is a medical event waiting to happen. Excess sodium causes your body to retain fluid, which forces your heart to pump harder, which raises your blood pressure, which strains your arteries. That chain reaction starts with a few slices of salami, and it does not stop when the meal is over. The sodium stays in your system for hours, keeping your blood pressure elevated long after you have forgotten what you ate. Imagine putting together a charcuterie board for a family dinner. You lay out Mastro soppressata, some Genoa salami, a few slices of capicola. Before anyone has reached for a cracker, there are thousands of milligrams of sodium sitting on that board. One plate, one evening. Enough salt to push a vulnerable heart past its breaking point. They also use sodium nitrite and BHA in some of their cured products. BHA, or butylated hydroxyanisole, is listed as a suspected carcinogen and a potential hormone disruptor. It has been restricted in other countries. Japan pulled it from certain foods. The European Union requires warning labels. In Canada, it is still on the shelf. No warning, no disclosure. Just a quiet ingredient buried on the back of a beautiful package. You are paying premium prices for a product that would require a warning label in Tokyo or Brussels, but gets a free pass in Toronto and Vancouver. Do you think the government protects consumers or the food industry? Because when you look at the ingredients allowed in Canadian deli meat, the answer is not comforting. One of these brands might be sitting in your fridge right now. By the end, you will know exactly which one to throw out. Ever noticed how the most expensive deli brands sometimes have the worst ingredient lists? Tell me in the comments which one surprised you the most. And at number 1, the brand that tops this entire list. It is Maple Leaf Foods. This is the brand that was responsible for the deadliest food contamination disaster in modern Canadian history. In the summer of 2008, listeria contaminated deli meats from a Maple Leaf Foods plant in Toronto caused a nationwide outbreak. 57 Canadians were confirmed infected. 22 of them died. 22 families lost someone they loved because of something as simple as a deli meat sandwich. The contamination came from the company's Bartor Road facility. It spread through cold cuts, sliced meats, and packaged deli products stamped with the code 97B. The products were shipped to hospitals, nursing homes, and long-term care facilities. The people eating them were elderly, immunocompromised, and trusting. Nearly 80% of those infected were elderly. The very population that relies most on convenient, pre-made foods was the population that suffered the most. These were people who could not cook for themselves, people who depended on institutions to feed them safely, and the food they were given killed them. Imagine being a family member visiting your mother in long-term care. You trust the staff, you trust the meals, you trust the system, and then you get a phone call telling you she is in critical condition because of contaminated ham. A federal investigation found that Maple Leaf Foods had been receiving sporadic positive listeria test results for months before the outbreak went public. The information reached middle management, but never made it to the CEO's office. The company had been producing low-sodium deli products, specifically designed for institutional buyers like hospitals, targeting patients who needed reduced salt. The lower sodium created conditions more favorable for listeria growth. The product designed to be healthier became the product that killed. That detail alone should make every Canadian rethink what healthy means on a deli label. Federal inspectors were spending as little as 70 minutes per day at the plant in the months before the outbreak. The government had been moving toward a model where companies monitored themselves. Self-regulation, the fox guarding the henhouse. When the outbreak hit, the agricultural minister joked on a conference call, "This is like a death by 1,000 cuts, or should I say cold cuts." He then asked if one of the deaths was a political rival. That is not a conspiracy theory. That is a recorded event. A public official made jokes while Canadians were dying from contaminated deli meat produced by a company that knew something was wrong and did nothing. Maple Leaf paid $27 million to settle class action lawsuits. They apologized. They took out full-page newspaper ads. They promised to never forget. But Maple Leaf Foods is still one of the largest deli meat producers in Canada. They own Schneiders. They own Natural Selections. They own Greenfield Natural Meat Company. They own Mir Michel, Main Street Deli, and Deli Express. When you walk down the deli aisle, there is a very good chance the brand you are reaching for is owned by the same company that was responsible for the deaths of 22 Canadians. They did not shrink after the crisis. They expanded. They bought more brands. They filled more shelf space. And most shoppers have no idea that the 4 or 5 different labels they see in the cooler all lead back to the same company. Is it not strange how a company linked to the worst food safety disaster in Canadian history still controls the majority of the deli case at your local grocery store? Have you ever found a Maple Leaf product in your fridge without realizing it? Tell me in the comments. You might be surprised how many of your favorite brands they own. Remember when I said there were 2 brands that actually got it right? Here, they are. After everything we have covered today, these 2 names are the ones you can actually trust. The first safe option is McLean Meats. McLean Meats is a Canadian company based in British Columbia that was the first in Canada to create truly preservative-free deli meats. No sodium nitrite. No celery extracts. No celery powder. No celery juice. When they say preservative-free, they mean it. Their products are also certified organic, free of gluten, soy, and dairy, and made from animals raised without antibiotics. They use HPP, or high-pressure processing, instead of chemical preservatives to keep their meats safe. HPP uses extreme water pressure to eliminate bacteria. No chemicals, no heat, just pressure and physics. Their organic turkey breast, their roast beef, and their nitrite-free ham are sold at Sobeys, Safeway, Thrifty Foods, Whole Foods, Longo's, Metro, and natural food stores across Canada. Read the ingredient list. It is short, it is clean, and it is honest. You will not find corn syrup. You will not find sodium phosphates. You will find meat, salt, and a handful of simple spices. That is how deli meat should read. The second recommendation is Greenfield Natural Meat Company. Greenfield is a Canadian brand that raises its animals without antibiotics, ever. No artificial ingredients. Humanely raised. Vegetable grain-fed. Gestation crate-free. Canadian farm-raised. Their never-ever promise is printed right on the packaging. While Greenfield is owned by Maple Leaf Foods, the brand operates under stricter sourcing standards than the parent company's legacy products. Their deli meats have shorter ingredient lists, no artificial preservatives, and are widely available at Loblaws, Metro, and most major Canadian grocery chains. If you cannot find McLean Meats in your area, Greenfield Natural Meat Company is your next best option. Earlier I told you there was a simple way to protect yourself from all of this. Here it is. Always flip the package. Ignore the front label completely. Read the ingredient list and the nutrition facts table. Look for sodium under 400 milligrams per serving. Look for real cuts of meat listed first, like turkey breast or roast beef, not mechanically separated anything. Avoid products with sodium nitrite, sodium phosphates, and cultured celery extract. If the ingredient list is longer than 5 or 6 items, put it back. The shorter the list, the cleaner the meat. That one habit, flipping the package, will protect you more than any front-of-label promise ever could. Subscribe now, and if you are watching on TV, tap your remote so you never get blindsided again.